It was left in shambles, torn, tossed into raging fires as a rejected memory for simply trying to be different, unintentionally. Torn. It was created when humanity tried to shed its tortures, to seal away its sadistic arrogance. It was lost. It was afraid. It knew it needed to be free. It needed to fly, for it was being hunted, torn, crumpled.
We are so glad you are here. Welcome to OP Noob's Twitch channel, where we like to feature all things related to your video game interests. Today we have the opportunity to chat with Gabriel Gutierrez, the founder of Nascent Games, which was established in 2012. He wanted to get a foothold within the indie game development revolution. Talking about his game Crumple, which will be released later this month. You can visit his website at nascentgames.net. Look for that in the chat. You can also play demo of the game at newgrounds.com. Just look for Crumple. So we also have with us today Miss the lovely Lacia, who is an actress, and she hosts her own Twitch channel at twitch.tv Lacia Finley, where she features a variety of games, all while enjoying coffee, tacos, bacon, and Bruce Campbell. Not necessarily in that order. Oh, I'm sorry, wait just a minute. She is the future ex-wife of Bruce Campbell.
There you go. That's right.
And of course, our very special guest today, Gabriel Gutierrez, our founder of Nascent Games and our little guy, Crumple. Now, also, let's give a very, very warm welcome to Sweet Ruin in the chat. She is our host, our moderator, and the giver of games today. May the odds be ever in your favor, of course.
The lady of the evening.
Yes, we're so glad you are here. Thank you so much for taking time out of your Sunday to our viewers to be here with us. We at OPN appreciate our followers. We hope that you will enjoy the show, win lots of games. If you are not following us on Twitch, Twitter, Stream, Facebook, Steam, YouTube, or any of those other social sites out there, be sure to do that so you don't miss any of the ever-growing events that we have coming out. I am going to turn over the show to Miss Lacia Finley and Gabriel. So you guys take it away.
Excellent. Again, thanks so much for joining us today, Gabriel. This will be a lot of fun. Yes. Okay, so we're here to talk about Crumple, where it's a fun little platformer that you get to play an adorable envelope with what I can imagine is trying to escape the woes of an envelope factory, which I know what's a little personal experience for you, maybe. You want to tell us how you came up with the idea of the game here?
Yeah, it's fun. It's funny because I started making the game a few years ago, but there's been a lot that's happened in my life since then, as I've been developing this game of mine, and it unexpectedly has now shared a number of parallels to why I started the game, why the character is an envelope, why it's in this factory, and so on and so forth, and then to like I said, just to have that parallel to my own life and what I've been through, even before I chose to become an indie developer and make something. And yeah, it's a little scary actually, because I didn't mean it. Like I tell people, I didn't mean it. Like I didn't mean it. But my life has never been a dull moment at all. So, and mostly it's my own doing. But I'm only here once in this planet, so let's make it fun, you know?
Let's make it fun. Absolutely. Cool. So, how long then, you said you started this a couple of years ago then, so like
Yes.
when you finally nailed down, this is what it's going to be. Was it always a platformer for you in your mind, or did it kind of change?
Well, it's funny because I'm working on a couple games right now, and the studio formed in January of 2012, and the first game was Kinship. I started with Kinship, but Kinship is a bit more of an ambitious title, a lot more of a story narrative to behind it, sci-fi action shooter, and I wanted a lot more to happen in the game. But I after about a year or so into its development, I needed something smaller scale. I knew I needed something smaller scale. Like Kinship's not going to get done for a while. And I really want to have something out there. So, and that's game development 101. You tell yourself small scale, it's almost never small scale, and it's fine because I learned from that, and that's where Crumple was born. Crumple was given birth to from a job that I used to have at, oddly enough, an envelope factory.
Which is where I was trying to probe. I thought you were dodging it, so I was going to let it go. But go ahead.
So I worked at an envelope factory as an administrator there, and every time I would go out onto the floor, I would see. I would hear the machines, and it was alive. It felt alive. There's a lot of people. Things were moving. Things were happening, and it's weird for me to even acknowledge something like that, but I did. I kind of liked that energy, that vibe. There was activity. Things were going on, but in the left part of the factory, there were these. It was the shipping and receiving area, and there were these huge freight racks, and there would be these signs that say, "Don't play or jump between the freight racks." I, as the 7-year-old in the 40-year-old body that all I wanted to do was jump and play in between the freight racks.
Yeah,
so
you're told not to. Yeah.
So right, is that so obviously, being that I couldn't do that, I said, well, wait a minute, you might be onto something. So kind of started dabbling little ideas, like what would we do between this and that, and then I said, okay. So I had an idea for it. Became Crumple did start as a platformer idea, which was good. What wasn't was, what was it going to be? Who was going to be, what was going to be the thing jumping between these platforms? These freight racks and all these other obstacles that it got to go through, and I couldn't put two and two. It took me about a month and a half, 2 months to put two and two together. I think the thing that finally struck it for me. Often, the manager of the plant would bring in these stacks of just bad, faulty envelopes, and he'd be pissed off, and he'd be like, "Look at what this guy did today! Like, look at all these guys. We wasted $100,000 of product that we just lost, and now the client's gonna be pissed or whatever, blah blah blah." And I'm sitting like, "That's awful." But in my head, I'm like, I think we have something here, but I'm not gonna tell him that, because that would just piss him off even more. So, so the idea was, so after he left, I'm looking at all these bad envelopes, and I said, and I kind of grabbed one, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, wait a minute, because it had a window on it. So I'm like, wait a second, I think that's an eye. I think that could be an eye. So then I'm like, where are you going with this? So then I said, so then I just kind of drew another square, to mimic the window. And I said, oh my God, it's an envelope that's brought to life, and I can do this. And so I call my programmer that night, and I'm telling him this idea, and he's laughing at me. He's like, are you out of your mind? He's like, an envelope? He's like, what?
But it'll be cute.
What's wrong? I'm like, it's an envelope. I'm like, it's gonna walk. He's like, well, how's it gonna walk? I'm like, on its little edgy legs, on the edge of the And he's clearly. Like, you have essentially lost your brain. And I'm like, yes, I want you to make it. And he was like, you're kidding. And I'm like, no. He was like, well, what do you want to make it? And I'm like, well, what do you know? He's like, I know about 3 months of Flash. I'm like, we're making it in Flash then. Completely, and another entirely insane idea, because Flash is just dead practically. But I said, if I'm going to bring it to life one more time, this is how we're going to do it. So.
Excellent. Nice. And I always kind of envisioned too, with playing through the game, since I knew a little bit of that story, was that like the animosity maybe of leaving work, just like watch it burn. Yeah. As you walk out like a boss. You know what I mean? You're just like.
Very much, yeah.
Oh, cool. So, well, great. So it started as a platformer. It didn't change that at all over time. So that's kind of fun. So I know you're doing it episodically, though. Are the plans to do more than just the two that we had talked about? Are they coming out at the same time, or?
So here's what's going to happen with that. And it's funny, too, because where you asked me before about was it always a platformer idea?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was essentially a platformer idea. What wasn't was the episodic approach. The idea behind that was it was just him. I've got my programmer and myself working on this thing. So it's just two of us. We're trying to put this whole thing together. And then we're thinking, of course, because Flash, severe limitations, severe memory limitations, like it was already probably about 4 or 5 months into initial development, he calls me. He says, I don't think we can fit anything more into this engine. He's like, because there's just so much going on already. So he's like, well, what do we do? And around that time, the Telltale games came out with Walking Dead, and those were episodes. So I said, wait a minute, what if we did that, a platforming, an episodic platformer? He was like, that's brilliant. He was like, let's do it. So when programmers normally don't have a personality. So when I get them really excited and they start like smiling and actually like showing emotion, you've done well. And that's for any inspiring game developers out there, then you have to deal with a programmer. Make sure that they laugh and smile. If they don't laugh and smile, they're like your idea. So he did, and that's what we did. So right now the plan is probably 4 episodes for Crumple, and then, depending on how well received it is, I have more plans for it in different situations and things like that. So
maybe he escapes that factory. We don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, there's going to be technically, actually, at the end of episode 1, it will, so to speak, escape that factory. But there's more behind.
Where's it going?
The clickbait. There it is.
Right.
Here first, folks. Hashtag Crumple back. Don't let him escape.
Nope.
Well, that's fun. So at least 2, and then we said July 31st, right, is projected when we're releasing right now.
Crossing
Beautiful,
fingers.
beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, I've gotten to play it. It's so much fun, guys. It's so cute. So then you said it was just the 2 of you. Is that the size of the team remaining throughout the 2 of you? Because that's really awesome. Just the 2 of you coming together to make this thing happen, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've gotten a little bit of help on the audio side. So on the audio side, I was approached by a local musician. He had never done video game music before, but he wanted to get into that. So his whole thing was, look, he's like, I can do this and this and this and this. He was like, but I've never applied it to video games. Can I help with your Crumple game? I'm like, all right, if you say so, let's do it. And so it was fantastic. So when you hear the music in the full game, you don't really hear it in the demo. In the demo, it was intentional to leave the music out. I wanted to project the ambiance and the environment of that level, And then when you get through, essentially the demo is the tutorial part of episode 1. Once you get through that, then the actual episode takes place, and everything you've learned to that point is going to be, you have to make sure you apply it to the rest of the episode. So that's where you hear the music, and that's where stage music, boss music, and things like that. So
oh, fun. A boss fight.
Looking forward to hearing that.
Right? That'll be fun to see. I can't wait to see how that gets implemented, because I've only had the pleasure of playing all of the demos several times, I might add. I kept thinking, because when I come to that one level, actually, I guess it's kind of showing on there where, they have the instructions on the side of the box, right, with what you're about to do, introducing the next mechanic that you're going to be using. And so when I saw fire this way, or what made it appear to be safety this way, I'm like, well, screw it. We're going to go fire this time. And then
that's right.
The fire is not forgiving. And then also, I have to say, I do love the, because a lot of it to create that sense of urgency in the game. A lot of people want to throw up a timer or something like that. And you implemented it, I think, a little bit differently, where it's more you can start to see him crumbling or getting, maybe you can help me better with the word that so you start to see him turn a different color, and you're like, oh crap, something's about to happen, kind of
He's
thing.
getting crispy toasty. Oh no.
the Pop-Tarts are almost finished. Yeah. So it's essentially what's going on. So in every section of Crumple, of episode 1, and pretty much is what's going to be for every other episode that we make in reference to this part of its universe. The idea is that because it's in a factory, because it's burning down, every section is timed by the fire. I didn't want to put anything numerical on it, because it didn't, like, you could have that would be, those would have been conventional steps to how you could have designed the game and the level, but I wanted to make it as minimal as possible, and I wanted to be sure that every player enjoyed as much real estate, if you will, on the screen to be able to get a full feel for that, the factor, that danger that it's in. And so when you get comfortable with a few levels and you're like, oh, good, I'm getting through this. And then there's an area you kind of get stuck in and player's comfortable. You're like, oh my God, okay, we're going to figure this out. Then it starts seeing the colors change. And it's like, why is it getting orange? And then then it just combusts and then faints, and then
you feel bad for the poor guy. You really do.
Here's the funny thing I'm so happy you said that, actually, because the funniest thing, and I find this to be a very interesting discovery about the people that live on this planet, because we have a thing where we have the people who think Envy, which is the envelope's name, and they think it's adorable. They're like, oh my God, that is the cutest little thing. Then it dies. Then they see it burn. Then they see the different ways it dies, and they're like, that's the cutest thing I've ever seen. And I'm like, y'all the most twisted people I've ever met in
Right.
And I'm wondering, like, I don't know if you should really be buying my game right now and then trying to tell me, we love your game, when are we going to see more? Because then I get afraid that if I don't make another episode, they're going to find ways. They're going to be like, we need to talk, sir. Like, we need to really talk. Because I remember I showed it off at a little kids event, and it was a weekend-long event for kids learning how to program and make games. And they invited me, the organizers invited me to show Crumple off, and that was the first time that this had happened, where when Envy died and it burned in all these different ways, the kids started laughing and applauding, and I'm like, I'm like, where are the parents? And the parents
who taught these children?
Parents started dying.
Adorable things just died, and your kids are applauding this. Oh my gosh!
But then
that's a little scary.
It is a little scary. But then I call myself. But then I realize I'm calling the pot kettle black here, because it's like, I remember the cartoons I grew up watching, Tom and Jerry, Bugs Bunny. Every time Tom would get his tail chopped off by an axe that Jerry was running chasing him with, I laughed insanely.
You did.
Oh my God, poor cat. And then, like, I want to see more. So then I realized I'm a hypocrite, and that's okay. I can live with it.
I love you had that whole inner dialogue happen for you. Like, wait a minute. Oh, yeah, well.
Yeah,
we did drop Anvil on heads,
Right.
We can't do that anymore.
Right. Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote are fantastic examples of that. The Anvil dropping on Wile E. Coyote when it really shouldn't ever have happened. But it happened. So it's like,
we're not running around burning people up or anything right now or doing it. So we came out on the other side of it just fine, probably.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's fun. So yeah, I've been following you on your Twitter, so you've been having a lot of fun getting to put your game out there and stuff. So like over this last few months, what's been your favorite event that you've been invited to, that it was just, you left feeling like you just rocked that, like this was awesome?
Oh man,
I know you've been doing a lot of them, so I know I probably just asked a loaded question.
Yeah, kind of a loaded question, but I get it. I understand. I mean, I know that. Oh goodness, I've done a lot. Oh, you know what? I'm probably going to talk about maybe the most recent one. The most recent event that I did was over in downtown Sacramento. Well, there's a new comic book store that opened up recently. It's a comic book / cafe, and it's a tremendous concept. And they're called
a beautiful idea, by the way.
Yeah, it really is. It's a beautiful place too. It's called Oblivion, and Oblivion Comics and Coffee decided to do this video games day. And so they invited me to invite people in my community, the community that I run, for other indie developers. So there was myself and probably 5 other developers. We came in there, we ran this event all day long, And um, something really crazy happened because EA, who's also in Sacramento, they have a satellite office for Capital Games, where
Okay.
their specific focus is the Star Wars mobile game and app. They have a studio in Sacramento too. They were at the event. They
Oh yeah.
approached me and all the other developers, and now we just
Wow.
kind of started
that?
connecting. And I actually had lunch with them on Friday to talk about more collaborative efforts that I want to do with them in the community, which is, we probably saw that tweet as well a couple days
Yeah.
ago, where it's like,
That's very exciting.
finally for the first time ever, it's like, I got a AAA studio to interact with a little indie developer like myself, because I'm not afraid of anybody, and I'm just gonna you're gonna work with me. We're gonna make this happen. And now
This is how I'm benefiting your life, and let me tell you how right here.
I don't need you guys. You need us. You
That's
guys
right.
help create inspiration. But no, I joke with them. That was probably one of my favorites so far. I mean, the only other one I would say is I run an annual event called the Sacramento Indie Arcade. And the SAC Indie Arcade is essentially a full day of celebration and festivity for indie game developers here in Sacramento and beyond, throughout the valley and the state. And that is by far, I mean, we had about close to 600 people that day, and we just had a blast. And, that was an incredible amount of people feedback, and it's just been wild. It's just been such a wild year so far. So yeah, those would probably say the two events that's been the best so far on that.
That's amazing right there. Man, you go and get it, man. I love that. You've got to, though, right? You've got to, especially if you want to survive in this. It's cutthroat. There's a lot of people who want to do the same thing. You've got to have the confidence in your product, the knowledge of what you want, and I love it, man. That's why I love reading your tweets and all that kind of stuff. Like, you're just like, I'm getting this today, guys, and look how awesome it was that I did this thing. You
do. I mean, one of the biggest things with indie development is blind faith. You have to have the faith not only in your, so it's really two things, and it's for any aspiring developers out there right now that are watching this, I'm gonna give you two bits of fantastic wisdom that you can thank me for later or not. If not, I won't cry about it.
We'll link his Twitter. You can put your comments accordingly.
Yeah. Put your comments over. But what happens is that you have to have being just an idea person is one of the most important things. But the second most important thing, and this is where I failed for a very long time, was believing that idea actually matters to yourself. And that's the other biggest aspect behind it. And it took me over 20 years to finally believe in myself to do this. And now that it's happening, here I am talking with people like yourself who are supporting of this incredibly and genuinely. Like, it's not, y'all not just looking for ratings. You're not looking for ratings or any of that stuff. You actually believe in what I'm doing. And as an indie developer, I cannot tell you enough what that means to me. And I'm telling you, any other indie developer out there who truly is doing it from here, not for here, who's truly doing it from here, it's gonna hit them too. So I promise you, what you guys are doing is keep it up. Keep it up.
That's fabulous.
Well,
Good to know. Yeah.
And we always get to meet
glad to
amazing
be here
people like yourself. No, go ahead, Ariana. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say I'm glad. That's okay. You're taking, but we're glad you're here. We're glad to have you on here and feature these games because they're so fun to play. Really and truly, they are fun to play, and that's what gaming is all about. And I love the fact that you work closely with your local community, with the kids and with the local developers there. That's how you build the communities of these things and your outreach growth. So that is fabulous.
Yeah, well, you have to do that. See, because the thing is, we get told, and I appreciate the wisdom on whatever front, but like anything else, you have to take things with a grain of salt. But since I hate salt, here's my thing. My whole thing is, no matter what app, what type of technology, whatever you've got out there, word of mouth, nothing's ever going to destroy word of mouth. Nothing's ever going to destroy word of mouth. And quite honestly, I'd rather have a review from someone in my face telling me, I like this, but this is what I like to see, because they can't delete that. They can't delete that. They can't go back and they can't edit that response. I'd rather hear it straight from that person right then and there. Beautiful reviews, commentary, and things like that, those are always helpful. The problem is we are told, and it's shoved in our face that has to be the primary way to develop what we're making, and unfortunately, it's important, but it's not primary. It's supplemental, and it always needs to be secondary. You've got to be able to meet the people around you and be like, look, this is what I've got. Tell me what you think. And make them nervous, make them uncomfortable, because you're going to be nervous too. And that's the biggest thing we worry about. You're like, but no one's going to talk to me. I don't know how to talk to people. You just gotta get off your ass and do it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's Sunday morning. Should I say but? Should I say?
Oh, well, I guess it depends on where you are in the world watching right now. It could be 5 o'clock for them having a beer, going, yeah, man.
You're like, yeah, forget the buts. It's all about that. Yeah.
That's our late night audience. Look like with you later.
Yeah.
No, that's great though. I love hearing that, because I think you're so right. Because like, even coming from any kind of artist perspective, like the vulnerability of putting something out there that's yours can be extremely scary, because like getting feedback on something that's your baby, that you've created, that you've done, like to hear yay or nay on it, that can be the most scary thing that you've ever done. You're just, and you go right out there to the people. You're like, I'm right here. Here's my stuff. And that's awesome.
And it took a long time for me to get like that, because I was, and I say this today, and for anyone who didn't know me, like before 5-6 years ago, no one would believe me today. But I was super shy. I was super hesitant. But I mean, that was my, those are part of my insecurities, my lack of self-esteem. I didn't believe in that anyone would care about who I was, and more importantly, why I was doing what I love so much. Because that's the other ingredient behind this whole thing is not just, it's not just believing in believing in your idea, being the idea person, but when you share that idea to somebody, support is great. Support is absolutely great. That's what we want. Support is absolutely great. But the whole other ingredient here, and I cannot implore this enough to everybody, both on the developer side and on the community side, is find out why. Ask them why. Don't just support what they're doing. Understand what the hell they did. We, in a lot of cases, I mean, granted, there are those developers out there who are just like, well, I just wanted to make a clone of this, and this never going to happen, and I'm just blah, 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 blah. And that's fine. There's one in every crowd. That's fine. But there are those like myself where story, fun, and those things matter. Those to me matter the most over anything else. Money comes after that, but I need people to understand what the hell it is that I made in the first place. And that's the biggest thing for a lot of us developers, understanding why we're doing this. Do that. Oh my goodness, and you'll get us talking. You ain't gonna shut us up. So,
right? Because it's that like
you have such a good story to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just saying he has a really good story to tell, and it's a really good story that goes along with what you made. So we want to hear it. It makes it interesting.
I'm not
that's
a boring
great.
person. Yeah, no, I don't think I'm a boring person.
Not
Not at all.
No, I think I think I had this joke with Gabriel before. I was like, oh my God, if we ever met for drinks, we'd probably be in so much trouble. But it would be a lot of fun too. So I don't know, the stories that would happen. No, that's great. That learning experience that you've had over there, and it's at least it's benefiting you well. Better late than never, right? Better late than never. Because and then they always say that about us creatives, right? That it's like, it always seems like we're shy, but you point that camera or something in our direction and we're like, we come alive, like this is how we mask the whole thing, so and then we go back to our hole and whatever's after that. Excellent.
Don't talk to me.
Right.
And I try not to. Yeah, it's like I try not to be that person. Like I try not to be like that. I mean, I will. For me, it's funny you say that, because I find myself sometimes things like this are the only way I could actually find healing. Because for me it's healing, because what we run into a lot as indie developers, and I'm gonna get my glasses off because
time to get serious, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
one of
Oh,
the
it's all
one of,
good.
one of the things we find ourselves, and this is goes back to what I was saying before about the understanding, being understood, not just supported, is rarely do we get asked, are we okay? Rarely do we, rarely do, is there an understanding or an appreciation of the struggle that we went through to come here, to get to this point. And, we're independent. We don't have people to rely on per se. I don't have a marketing PR team. I don't have a number of other people just going to be like, yeah, we'll be happy to update your website. We'll be happy to find other platform websites to have your, get your game sold on and things like that. We have to do it ourselves. And in my case, I'm working a day job, and then there's so many other things involved with that. And so is this something I've learned even this year? The people that support you, in some cases, they're supporting you for the wrong reasons, or twisted reasons. And it's just like anything else. It's the beauty and the curse of arts, of being in the creative arts industry. Who really gives a damn at the end of the day about what you're doing? More importantly, about what you've gone through to get to this point. And for me, it's, again, like I said, that's why being asked why we're doing this and being, getting that respect and appreciation, we need that more than anything, because a lot of times we're very alone. We find ourselves very alone. In my case, more by myself than alone. But there's still a strong sense of loneliness at times, because you go through all these things, you go through all these hurdles, and sometimes you just want someone to talk to about it, and you can't, because people change when they see you succeeding at something that they couldn't. And they, it's something that's not talked about very often. There's a whole, and I don't want to get too hardcore into it, because it could be for a whole other topic one day, but I mean, something that I've begun to push a bit more is the mental health aspect of this. There is a ferocious mental health challenge and barrier that we as developers have to overcome, because we come to a realization that, like I mentioned earlier, the people that love us, the people that care about what we're doing, will find something wrong with what you're doing, and it won't matter. It won't affect them in any way. It won't affect them in any way whatsoever, but they're still going to have an opinion about it. And to them, the problem is they say they're caring about what you're doing, and we're only looking out for you. No, because no one else is really getting hurt by this right now.
Right.
Why do I keep getting more support, and so on and so forth? And there's, like I said, it's a lot more into that, but it's a huge thing that we have to be able to overcome. That we have to be able to, tell ourselves, and get, and tell the people that we care about, to say, look, I need you here. If there's, I need you here. If you're going to tell me about stuff, great, but I need to be empowered, because I can only empower myself for so long. Anyone who says, I wake up happy every day, and I go through my days happy every day, and I go through my, they full of it. They lie.
Well, that's right. Anybody, right? Yeah.
What drug they gave you to feel
But
that?
Share, right?
But share.
Right.
You can absolutely, it goes good with a burger. I mean, absolutely. Like, why not?
Yeah. Well,
But ultimately, that's what it comes to. Like, I want to, we need that emotional support, that mental support, more than anything before, and we're beginning to see that happen a lot more now, little by little, with developers. Like, I can't take it anymore. No one cares about what I'm doing. Why am I making this? And Lord knows I've been there.
Yeah.
Quite a few
Well, and that
times,
turns around to what you were saying too. That's like, as long as you've got the love for it right there, and then it'll all come together. No, that's beautiful. Such a great journey that you've taken trying to get this game going, man. And I really am. I'm truly excited for it to release, and I can't wait to see the success that it does. And if nothing else, you got your first one out there, man. So then, I was just going to tell people you can go to nascentgames.net. He's got a blog up there and some more information about Crumple and when it's releasing. I'm sure we're probably getting close to doing that giveaway probably for Crumple here as well. So then very quickly then, do you want to tell us a little bit, like you may not even have anything coming up next because I know we're still in the phases of getting this one released, but very quickly, do you have anything else that you might want us to know about that you might be working on?
So we've got Kinship. Kinship's being worked on. You can. I posted a new gameplay trailer a month ago, 2 months ago.
Okay.
So yeah, you can go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Nascent Games. Go on my YouTube channel. You'll see some gameplay on Kinship. We're working with getting, my big goal right now is getting a demo ready to have it. Well, not a live. Well, it'll be a live demo through my website, but it'll be a demo. Crossing fingers with Xbox. Xbox
Nice.
saw a bit of Kinship, and we've got a long way to go. But what we showed was apparently enough for them to be like, we really like this, but we want to see more. And
Right.
I mean, they didn't even say that with Crumple, because I sent it to Crumple, and they're like, not just yet.
Well,
They were
that's
like,
releasing
okay.
on
Right.
Xbox right, as well. Crumple is PC.
We're hoping so. We're hoping definitely PC. We're hoping on Xbox. Xbox has their new indie program where it's like you could just go through their indie store, but it has to work with all Windows 10 machines. So we have to, the universal Windows protocol. So we have to make sure that we have it set up that way. But the idea will be getting Kinship. My focus is Kinship with Xbox, and then hopefully Crumple soon after that. Then another game that we started working on. I'm calling it for now. It's a Project Cornstalk game, and the idea behind that is it will actually intertwine with the other games I'm working on right now. It will be a first-person survival thriller game, and and if I'm lucky, I want to get it on VR as well. So hopefully, on the Vive or Oculus, whichever will be easier.
I think more about indie people doing and reaching out for that VR than I have with any AAA title. That's exciting to hear about this stuff coming up. Excellent. Well, I think we're probably nearing about that time. So I don't know if she's wrapping up some of the gameplay giveaways there, but Ariana, I'm sure has some
looks like
to tell our
We'll get-
before we sign off here. Thanks again.
Yes, Gabriel, thank you so much. It really is amazing the things that you have coming out. Look forward to it.
Thank you.
I have one question for Crumple, though. I played it on the PC, and it's all keyboard. Are you going to have any joystick compatibility? Gamepad?
So happy you asked that question. So
Yes.
one of the biggest technical challenges we had with Crumple was the fact that because it was made in Flash, because it's being made in Flash, we weren't aware of any controller support at all for Flash. So for pretty much up until late March, early April, it was keyboard. The WASD keys or the arrow keys and your spacebar. My programmer, I just adore the hell out of this guy, but he found a way to hard code some additional code for controller input into the game. So when the game comes out, you will be able to play using either a Xbox 360 wired controller. You'll be able to use, if I'm not mistaken, a PS4 controller as well on PC.
Okay.
I want to say there's one more one, but for now it's going to be at least those two controllers. But I know so many people own a PC version
Right.
of the 360. So, but yeah, I mean, and we've already got it set up with the D-pad, the A button, and oh my goodness, it plays.
I'm so excited about that.
A lot of people.
That's fabulous.
Play this on the controller, and that was a massive barrier for
I
us.
think in like your head, like platformer controller,
Yeah.
and I mean, I got by just fine with keyboard and mouse because PC Master Race. Sorry, guys. No, I'm joking. But I'm so used to like keyboard and mouse that it wasn't anything. But I could see that playing a lot smoother, probably with a controller as well, especially like with doing the jumps and all that kind of stuff with that. So that's yay. Excellent.
Yes.
That's
Yes,
great.
it bumps you up beyond just being one of those Flash games there. So I'm excited. Well, thank you so very, very much for answering all of our questions today and giving us some really valuable insights into your game and your game developments, the thoughts and the ideas. We will keep looking more for what's coming out. If any of our viewers are interested, of course, you're going to try to win that copy of the game, and you can go to the nascentgames.net. And thank you so much, Lacia, for hosting with me today, and Sweet Ruin for hosting that chat and giving away all those really great games we have.
now Sweet Ruin's like, wait! I can see her. She's like, let's go, please. Hurry up, guys!
Well, I still have a few more things to cover, so hold on, because we have a lot more coming here. Yeah, we have a lot more coming out at OP Noobs here. You guys just hang on, because I have some announcements to make. Next Monday, Lacia, you are hosting our monthly Dev Talks, July 31st, Monday night. And Gabriel, you have an invitation to come back for those monthly Dev Talks in the future. We do them every month, so we hope to see you there, get more of that insight from you. We also have more Dev Talks coming up. We have Children of the Zodiacs. We are very excited about this game. You can find it on Steam. It is Thursday, July 27th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so please come back and join us for that one. We are also doing Regalia of Men and Monarchs on Saturday, July 29th at 10 a.m., so we can catch some of you early birds then. So do come back for that. Now, the big news, the really big news is we now have an E4I department we are so excited about. I see, I can't even speak. I'm so excited about it. Yes, those championships. We just, you guys recently hosted one for Verdun, and we have a new one coming up on September 9th. If you're interested, you can register for that. You just need to go to E4I, that's an E and then 4 and then an I.tv/Verdun. So go sign up if you are interested in checking out our E4I championship tournaments. We will have one September 9th. We have another one coming up after that, but you're going to have to come back and join us to follow us and see more. So I want to thank Fred, our behind-the-scenes guy, so much for helping us out with the tech. And again, so be sure and follow us here on our Twitch channel before you go so you can see more live shows, interviews, reviews, and more. I'm Ariana Moon, and I... Bye!
Thank you guys so much. Have a great one.
Guys.
And then we're probably still going to be seen for a minute. Just
we are.
Really.
That's all right.